Thank you to everyone who took the poll that forced me to review Titanfall 2. I had already been playing it before, and I'm happy to share with you my thoughts about it in this video. I'll mostly be talking about the online multiplayer, but I'll also touch on the single player campaign mode. At the time of this review, there are about 8,000 people playing the multiplayer at any given time, and I'm speaking only of the PS4 version, the only version I own. There are a variety of online game modes, but most people are only playing one, called Attrition. Here's how an attrition match starts. Note the intensity.
We shall restore order by superior force. Change is inevitable on the frontier.
It may seem like a sea of chaos, but what is happening is that you're being placed on a team of 6 online players who are going up against another team of 6. There are also scores of computer-controlled grunts and bots being dropped into the battle throughout the match. Half of them fight on your side, and half of them fight for the other side. Each human player starts off as a pilot, which is basically an advanced foot soldier, capable of running across walls, double jumping, and sliding on their knees. Before the match, you could choose between different types of pilots, each with their own special ability. The one I like to use throws a radar-emitting spear into objects, causing enemies to be highlighted for everyone else to see. Another type of pilot has cloaking ability. Gotcha, you invisible bastard. As you kill your opponents, you have a Titan meter that builds. Once it becomes full, you can call a Titan from the sky. It's basically a gigantic mech suit, though the mech does have an intelligence with its own voice, some of which are even female. Just like pilots, there are different types of Titans with different types of skills. I prefer the one that sprays fire everywhere, but I admire the one that wields a sword. One enjoyable thing to do is call for a Titan to be dropped, but time it so it falls directly on top of an opposing Titan or pilot, killing them instantly. I wasn't able to get it to happen while recording, but here's a kill cam of someone doing it to me. Attrition is a point-based match, and your team gets points by destroying the opposing forces. The first team to reach 650 wins. If you die, you respawn practically instantly. Destroying Titans is the thing that nets your team the most points. Once your Titan is about to be destroyed, you have to eject. If you don't get out, the opposing team will get points for both a dead Titan and a dead pilot. Once you no longer have your Titan, you have to build your meter back up again, continuing the cycle. So the combat basically follows 3 forms: pilot versus pilot, pilot versus Titan, and Titan versus Titan. If you're a pilot fighting a Titan, you have to be sneaky, going into buildings and shooting at the Titan through the windows and doorways. If you're a Titan trying to get a pilot, it's a little harder to be sneaky, but you do have an advantage in terms of size and firepower. When Titans fight other Titans, it's like a Godzilla movie. This constantly shifting gameplay is the main selling point of the game. I never grow tired of it, and I would play this game for months and months if I didn't have a large backlog of other titles I want to play. The teams are very balanced, making for some epic matches, for the most part. I can't tell you how many times I've been killed, only to have my attacker be killed a few seconds later. It's very fast-paced, and I have never experienced lag, which is saying a lot. There are 2 main play styles I have noticed in regards to pilots. Some people stay close to the ground, like me, and others play like Spider-Man, staying airborne as they skim across walls and hop from building to building. They have a speed advantage when they do that, but with good timing and the right gun, they can be taken down by a player on the ground. That being said, the more experienced Spider-Men are some of the best players in the game, and if you're on the receiving end of their attacks, you are toast. There are other modes in the game too, like Capture the Flag, and other variations that involve pilots only, titans only, and so on. I had fun playing those as well, but for me, they didn't reach the same level of excitement as attrition. Other players must feel the same way, because it's harder to get into a non-attrition game. There just isn't as many of them. To find them, you have to disable attrition as a search parameter. Although I enjoy the game, I do think the map design isn't quite as good as other first-person shooters. The buildings are nondescript. They look very similar when viewed from afar. This causes a secondary issue, a lack of beneficial voice chat.
Hey, I just saw an enemy. He ran into that small building, the one that looks just like all the others.
Since there's no way to describe where someone is, just about nobody uses the voice chat. For strategy anyway. The ones that do have the mics turned on tend to fall into two categories. The people who never say anything, but submit everyone to the background noises of their house. And the other category are kids, getting excited over every single thing.
There's only one guy left! No, get away! Get away! Did you hit that thing? You hit that thing! No, hit him!
Hey kid, you dropped your umbilical cord.
As an adult, it's awkward to interact with kids. It makes me feel old.
Back in my days, we didn't have no fancy graphics. We just had 2 sticks and a ball.
So I just leave the mic off. If you want to play a game with some valuable voice chat, play Rainbow Six Siege. There's a single player campaign mode, and I think most people will enjoy it. It involves you and your Titan buddy fulfilling mission objectives. Like other campaign modes in other games, it flexes the graphical muscles of the game. It also teaches you how to master wall jumping and running across walls, which is useful for the multiplayer portion. The first few hours I thought were comparable to other first-person shooter campaign modes, but during the last half, it really took off. I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll just say you get to participate more in the active war zone instead of being behind enemy lines. So I do recommend playing the campaign all the way to the end. With a strong single player and a strong multiplayer, and the fact that physical copies can be bought for $6 or $7, there's just no good reason not to play this game. Get it, get it, get it. So why haven't I mentioned the first Titanfall? Because I haven't played it. And what about Titanfall 3? They had plans to do it, but they got distracted by something else.
I want money!
They took a bunch of Titanfall 2 assets and created Apex Legends instead. A free-to-play battle royale game. I've played a little bit of Apex. It's decent, but it doesn't have the giant robots. So I'll stick to Titanfall 2. The truth is, Titanfall 2 didn't sell very well. It was released on October 28, 2016, 1 week before a major Call of Duty release, and 1 week after Battlefield 1 came out. That timing may have killed off the Titanfall series for good. Sadly, the last patch for Titanfall 2 was in late 2017. It did have a resurgence in popularity when Apex Legends came out, since it was similar to Titanfall 2. But since then, the player counts have come back down. So that's it for the review. On the screen, you'll see another review for Rainbow Six Siege for the PS4. And you'll also see what I consider my favorite video on this channel, which is where I address people's criticisms of my gaming hobby. I'll see you next time.